So our second speaker is Dr. Gina Johnson Wells. Dr. Gina Johnson Wells is a lifelong lover of reading. As the child of educators, one of whom was a librarian and media specialist. Hold up, I think there's 2 educator kids of librarians here tonight. You don't have to fight at the end, but I'm just saying there's 2 of you. Okay, now we're friends. Great, great. So the love of books and reading came quite naturally. When she was a music educator, Gina always found a way to combine the reading of books with the learning and creation of music. Presently, Gina is a full-time instructor and graduate advisor in the NEIU Teaching English to Speakers of Other Languages, or TESOL program. She serves on the board of directors for Literacy Works and is a board member of Illinois TESOL and Bilingual Education, ITBE. She brought her crew. Where she serves as the advocacy chair. She also speaks, reads, and writes Swedish. But you're not, are you telling the story in Swedish? You're not, okay. All right. Friends, Dr. Gina Johnson Wells.
Good evening. I am so happy to be here to talk to you about one of the books that changed my life. So as Nora read in my bio, I have loved reading books for as long as I can remember. I am a self-professed bibliophile. So you can imagine I had quite a time trying to decide which book that changed my life I wanted to talk about, because there were so many. In fact, I considered just bringing a stack of books and just asking you all to pick one for me. Well, nah, not really. Well, but anyway, from the time Chris Kinney asked me to be one of the presenters, I have considered the books that have had a significant impact at different stages in my life. And I focused on a few children's books I read in my youth, because I'm not a youth anymore. However, the ones I focused on still didn't seem to be quite right. It was actually not until this week that the book I'm going to talk about became apparent. Literally, in the middle of the night on Tuesday night. So I know this is the right book to talk about. So little did my 7-year-old self know that receiving this book would impact my life in pretty much every aspect since I received it. This book set me on the path that has brought me here today. It was not a book I read quickly, but a book that took me months to get through. And in fact, it required me to learn a new language, not Swedish, the language of music. The book was my first piano book, John Thompson's Easiest Piano Course, Part 1. I began taking piano lessons when I was in 2nd grade, so I could already read, count, add, all the basic literacy skills that I needed to learn to read and write music, and to play the piano. So after initially learning, hey diddle diddle, D is in the middle of the 2 black keys, and then learning to identify each key by name, and learning to play with curved fingernails, I received my first piano book. Through this book, with the guidance of the 7 elves representing the notes A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, I meticulously learned to read music and to actually play the music written on those pages on the correct piano keys, most of the time. But the impact of this book reached much further than just learning to play the piano and read music. On those days that I wanted to go out and play with my friends instead of practicing the piano, I did not know that this book would provide the knowledge and skills I needed to learn to play the flute in middle school, or allow me to miss a day of school in the spring when we had piano guild competitions. Thompson's Easiest Piano course laid the foundation for me to get a music scholarship when I applied to college. And because of this book, I found my real voice, my singing voice. Completing my bachelor in music education degree, I became a licensed music educator, and thanks to John Thompson and numerous other music books along the way, I completed my master's degree in music education. Each career choice I have made, or that has presented itself, becoming a music teacher in South Carolina, teaching music in Sweden, moving back to the US and teaching school in Tampa, Florida, where part of the curriculum was an integrated curriculum that integrated the arts and the content areas. Then moving to Durham, North Carolina, and teaching in an Arts Plus school where the entire school used an integrated curriculum approach. And finally moving to Illinois, getting hired as a music teacher in a school where I was able to introduce this type of curriculum model to my colleagues, could all be traced back to that first piano book and me learning to read music. But more than teaching music, it was my contact with every child, every student in the schools where I taught that helped me to see beyond the content. I was able to see all of my students through a culturally responsive lens, to see them as the wonderful, unique individuals they were, a lens that not all of my colleagues use to see our students. My observances and experiences prompted me to pursue my PhD in education in order to become a teacher educator, so I could help future teachers see the value in valuing their students. After completing my PhD, I began working at Northeastern Illinois University as a program coordinator for Grow Your Own Teachers. I was doing what I wanted. However, there was a small glitch, a budget impasse. So, during that time when the funds for my position were frozen or non-existent, I went back to school to earn an additional master's degree in teaching English to speakers of other languages. I joined the faculty in the TESOL program at NEIU just prior to completing my master's degree, and have for the past 7 years cherished every moment working with pre-service and in-service teachers as they seek to learn how to better serve and teach the multilingual learners they will or currently teach. I have also become a strong advocate for multilingual learners and those of us who teach them, as I currently serve as the advocacy chair on my state professional organization, Illinois TESOL and Bilingual Education. Pursuing my passions, advocating for others, modeling good teaching practices are now my reality. All because of a book that I received when I was 7 years old, changing my life and setting me on this path. John Thompson's Easiest Piano Course, Part 1. Thank you for listening.